How do force-free trainers stop unwanted behavior? How do they get dogs to stop without telling them no? If I'm teaching a dog that I do not want them to do something, how can I teach them how to stop doing that thing without telling them no or physically intervening? First off, it's fine to tell your dog no. You need to feel liberated to communicate with your dog in a way that is natural to you. Modern trainers have really found a way that keeps their emotions high and enthusiastic about working with you, and that doesn't hold you back in your training efforts. I have examples today that I want to cover. These are those real moments that happen in real life outside of planned training sessions. And these are situations that I think most people would be tempted to say no and physically stop their dogs, and understandably so. The goal of training dogs when I work with them is to teach them how to think from the inside out. So I'm going to show you exactly what I do instead. Part of training a dog is having the right tools and right supplies to train them. You're going to see me using a few different toys and treats today. All of them are from Bark. When you sign up for a monthly box from Bark, you'll get a fresh set of training treats and durable one-of-a-kind toys that your dog will love. BarkBox toys are for every dog, and Super Chewer toys, those are for those dogs that really need those extra tough toys. When you sign up using my special links, you're gonna get an entire additional box for free. I'll have those links in the description below. Now it looks like I better get to my first example because Shade is not wasting any time.
Hey Zach, look what's happening.
Let's take this first example where Shade is doing a very natural thing. He's chewing on my shoes. Of course, that's not really in anyone's best interest, but it is a natural behavior. Now, I think most people would say no and maybe even scold their dog for chewing something that's valuable. After all, nobody wants their dog to chew things up that have value. It is completely understandable and normal to be frustrated. But what I see here is an opportunity to teach a dog 10 seconds at a time to learn something new and to listen to us. Here are the things I need to accomplish in short order in this situation. First, I've got to get his attention. Here. Then I have to ask him to come to me. Come. After all, if he's coming to me, he can't be chewing on the shoes at the same time.
Now watch, I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm gonna put these out of reach. Still not done. I'm gonna give him something to chew on of similar texture.
I still have to make sure he's able to meet his needs of chewing on something. He's a puppy and he's teething.
That was like 8 seconds of training right there. It provided an example of leave something alone, pay attention to me, and let me give you something else to do that is acceptable.
When we're training dogs, the goal is to be ultra efficient and to make real progress with our dogs without having to become reliant on physically interacting with them to do what we want them to do. Not necessarily because it's inhumane or something, but because we want to give them the chance to think through their actions. That's where the deepest learning occurs.
Positive reinforcement training does not take longer.
Next, let's take this counter surfing moment. You smell food up there. Apparently Shade moments ago just became tall enough to reach the counter. So what's a practical way to stop this? Well, if you've been doing your basic training with your dog, start to trust that communication. So you got barking, you got him jumping on the counter. Watch how he ate this without touching him. Hey, okay, come. Again, the goal is to teach our dogs to think from the inside out, not make them behave from the outside in. So I resist the urge to physically get Shade down. Does that mean he will never do that again? No, Here he is 5 seconds later doing the same thing. So look, this is the power of force-free training right here. Hey Shade, come here. There's no treat, there's no lure, sit. What a good man. That's great. Do you see how we can intervene without forcing at all? Now he's still excited. I'm gonna give him a treat in a second, but I'm trying to also work in the idea that treats sometimes come and sometimes don't. But again, we want to reinforce the idea that paying attention to us is one of the most valuable things he can do. Okay, fine. What if you've got a Cane Corso jumping on you, even humping your leg? Surely then you've got to make them stop by pushing them off of you and possibly correcting them. Now, in this case, there's not much wrong with physically aiding your dog down, but because I'm able to, I'm going to choose not to touch him to show you what I do instead. Look at this. He's starting. You can't do that. You could assist them off of you here, but I'm trying to make a point. I was able to get his attention on me, ask him to stop, hold a sit and a stay for a second so that I could reinforce the behavior that I do want to see. Okay, I could tell he's gonna break because we have a neighbor's dog who's barking right now. The issue many professionals have with relying on the word no is that it's not very specific. So some have this expectation that no means to stop something general. And this can leave dogs confused about what you actually want them to do. So instead, we provide them an alternative behavior like come or look up at me and sit and stay when they're jumping or counter surfing. This approach not only immediately interrupts the unwanted behavior, but it also gives you the chance to reinforce and seal in the desired action without the lack of clarity and clunkiness when we simply say no and physically make our dog do something. Make sense? Keep in mind that once the reinforcement seems to reliably ensure the behavior that you're looking for, over time, and not that much time, provided you're very consistent, that's when we can start reducing rewards. One request, he's still leaving it. He's really starting to understand, yes. And we always need to be careful to periodically reinforce even with some of the most reliable behaviors so that those good habits don't drift away. Stay. Now, ideally in the future, you'll get to know your dog so well and you'll be one step ahead of them and be able to interfere before they start chewing, jumping, counter surfing, or barking. By doing this, you'll be able to successfully interrupt even before a lot of these things happen in the first place. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I've saved one of the best examples for last. Typically, most of us would consider it an urgent situation if we had a dog barking and trying to jump through our screen door. Here, watch this. Look at that. Good man. Upon our first request, we were immediately able to interrupt Shade and ask him to return. I didn't have to startle Shade. I didn't have to put him in a bad mood by scolding him with our voice. And instead, I have him enthusiastically come running to me, sit and pay attention to me, and receive his well-earned reward. The point of training like this is to de-escalate moments of excitement out of your dog. Your instinct might be to say, no, go over, get your dog to stop, close the door, pull down the blinds, whatever it is. And those aren't bad ideas. If you can summon the inner discipline to draw on your dog's skills, put it together, you've taught look at me, you've taught come, you've taught sit and stay. Once you have those kinds of tools, when you assemble all of these things together, you're able to communicate resolutions to various behavior problems much more efficiently, easily, and more pleasurably for your dog. It might seem insignificant to consider how your dog responds emotionally to your mood and words, but my job as a dog trainer is to make sure that you have as little friction and as few side effects and issues as possible when you're training your dog. It's important to understand that in dog training, when we talk about how to teach dogs to stop things without telling them no, we're not talking about emergency situations. If a dog was pulling into the road or a fight was breaking out, you do what you have to do to intervene, even if that means physically stopping them. But the critical point is that this is an emergency situation. This isn't considered training. You would not rely on setting up these potentially dangerous situations to get your dog to internalize new concepts like listening to you on come and stay or whatever. But when we're actually taking the effort to communicate with our dogs, we have the environment set up appropriately for them, I would challenge you to see how far you can go in showing your dog what you want them to do instead of what not to do in as fluid and efficient a manner as possible. If you want to know which toys and treats I love, in this video I used exclusively Bark products. So a monthly Bark box or Super Chewer box with a little bit of know-how can get you a super trained dog. Click thumbs up, subscribe, follow us on social, and we'll see you in the next episode.